My San Antonio Spurs took a 1-0 lead over the Oklahoma City Thunder last night in Game One of the Western Conference Finals. We're here to break it down. So,
Let's get
yeah,
into it. Let's
yeah.
go. Zach, your Spurs 1-0 over the defending champs, the WCF Oklahoma City Thunder. Game one, double overtime win for the Spurs. 122-115. Zach, how are you feeling this morning after that amazing night of basketball?
I mean, electric. It's the dopamine still hasn't worn off. I don't think it ever will, if it hasn't already. But I couldn't sleep last night. I'm gonna be honest. I could not sleep from the adrenaline, the dopamine. That was one of the greatest basketball games I've witnessed. Period. Playoffs, regular season. It's hard to compare to that. It really felt like it was game one of the NBA Finals. And that's no disrespect to the Eastern Conference because I think whatever team comes out of the East can match up with whoever wins this series. But man, the atmosphere inside Paycom, it was nuts. You know, the MVP presentation before the game, it really felt as big as it could get. And both teams delivered.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, we thought from before, if you watched our preview yesterday when we uploaded that before game one, that this was going to be the series of the playoffs. This is the most anticipated playoff series we could have gone all season long. It's the top two teams that everybody's like, these are the two teams that can win the NBA championship legitimately. Everybody's going to say that for the entire year. Um, and then going into it, everybody's like, this is going to be an amazing matchup. And game one is a double overtime win for the road team, which last time the Western Conference Finals went to a double overtime game was 1976 with the Warriors and the Suns. Like, dude, I don't think you can write a better script. Given I don't think game two is going to be as great as this, but I don't think any of the games for the rest of the series are going to be as great as this, just for the fact that it's not going to be a double overtime game. So, if you watched last night and you enjoyed it, um, you didn't miss out on anything. If you didn't watch and you decided to watch, I don't know, some boring ass baseball game,
Hockey.
stay over there again, or hockey,
Stay on
or
that
game. I
side.
mean,
Stay on that side.
yeah, yeah. Even a game seven of the hockey of Chell wasn't as good as this game. I'll tell you that much right now. Um, let's just break it down. Um, the Spurs. What like I don't know if this is just a Spurs thing because the Lakers kind of did this, but okay, maybe that's a Spurs thing, but they locked down Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. That Zach, just talk me through that on your side of the things. I know you break it down a lot more than I do, but go ahead, give me your thoughts on how the Spurs attacked Shea defensively.
Yeah, I don't think it was all too different from what we saw from the Lakers, from what we saw the Spurs do last round against Anthony Edwards. It was just straight up doubling him at times. It was always showing multiple defenders at him, showing different looks. There was quite a few plays where you saw like three different guys on Shea where we left so many shooters open. OKC had so many shots that just didn't go in. Granted, it kind of went both ways, 3-point shooting, but
Mm-hmm.
it was a concerted effort to limit Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and we saw that in his stats, and we saw that in Alex Caruso's stats, who had arguably the game of his life. I'd say he's a two-time champion, but I don't know if he's ever had a performance that great. I mean, we're talking about a 31% three-point shooter hitting eight threes, nine threes. I think that's what he
Eight
finished with.
threes.
I mean, he felt like prime Wardell out there. Like I don't know if there's been any shooter other than Wardell that's put that much fear into my heart playing against the Spurs. I mean, that was a ridiculous performance from him. One that I'm not sure we'll get again, but again, the Spurs effort on Shea was ridiculous. So many different bodies got thrown at him. Castle did a good job on him. Did a great job staying out of foul trouble. Harper did a good job on him. Carter Bryant. I mean, I was just talking about it with Cole before we got on here. Carter Bryant has improved so much from the beginning of the year. It's night and day the player that we're seeing. He still is far from a finished product. He still could shoot better. He could, work on his handle, self creation. But for what he is right now, he is an impactful player. I want to see more of Carter Bryant next game, Wednesday night. I think we need to see more of Carter Bryant. Keldon Johnson was decent this game. not defensively. He was actually pretty poor defensively, but he knocked down 3 threes, which was important to the game, especially with Champagny and Vassell not really getting it going from downtown. But I Carter Bryant, man, he's floored me. Like almost not as much as Dylan Harper. It's hard to compare anybody to Dylan Harper. He's having an all time great playoff run for a rookie, but Carter Bryant, it's just hats off to him. He's been impressive, and
Yeah, I
I,
completely
I love
agree.
I love him as a body to throw at Shea.
I completely agree. Carter Bryant played incredible defense. You gave me the numbers before the pod even started recording this. He gave what? He gave Shea probably the biggest worry defensively. Um, I don't know what exactly it was. If I can pull that up real quick, it
Uh,
was
he gave him 2 points in 15 possessions,
yeah.
and
That's
and those came on free throws. He forced Shea into a turnover as well.
yeah. 2 free throw attempts, 2 assists, 1 turnover when guarding Shea. Zero effective field goal percentage. 10 points per 75 possessions. When you're
The
talking
thing
about the
about it
two-time
too,
defensive,
like the thing
yeah, when
about
you're
it
talking
too.
about the
Sorry,
two-time AP is crazy. Go ahead.
no, I didn't want to interrupt too much, but I just wanted to say like the thing about it too is those free throws. If you watch the game, he played like 20 seconds of perfect defense, and then he bailed Shea out. Do it like
Yeah,
Shea does what he does, and he gets to the line. He jumped and he knew it. He bailed Shea out. He played perfect defense, and that was kind of my biggest worry about Carter Bryant going into the series. Is sometimes he can get over aggressive defensively, but I think for the most part, outside of that one possession, he did good, and he did so well that possession. It was just a small mental lapse, and that got Shea
yeah,
to the line.
I completely agree. But then you talk about the other rookie. You mentioned Dylan Harper, and I'm wearing my, got to represent the Philippines and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you talked about it all year. One of the greatest, from what I've seen, just pound for pound, probably one of the best finishers at the rim I've ever seen in my life. The way he's able to just manipulate his body in midair. There was a couple positions where he would drive on somebody like Chet or Isaiah Hartenstein or a bigger body than him, and he finds a way to use the rim to, as an extra defender or like not a defender, but like a shield against Chet or something like that. And the way I watch it is just unbelievable. 24 points, 11 boards, 6 assists, 7 steals. Like he was everywhere. In the wake of De'Aaron Fox being out for this game, Dylan Harper needed to step up, and he absolutely delivered. Um, what are you like? You've talked about him all year, and how much you love him and all this kind of stuff. From your perspective as a Spurs fan, watching him grow throughout the year, and then this is the performance he puts on in Game 1 of the WCF. What was going through your mind?
I mean, it's special. It's hard to describe the what we're seeing from Dylan Harper right now. I don't think we've ever seen a rookie guard play at this level in this stage. Like some of the stats he was putting up last night, it feels like every stat he puts up, every impressive performance he has in the playoffs, it's always comparable to Magic Johnson, who we know to be probably the greatest rookie of all time. He won Finals MVP his rookie season, stepped up when Kareem went down in the finals or Kareem had off nights. Like this is a special thing to see from a rookie, and I feel like we're appreciating it, but some people don't realize how crazy this is, what we're seeing from Dylan Harper, because last night he was truly all over the floor. He obviously we talked about his finishing. His finishing was a mess. People compare him to Kyrie all the time, which I kind of see that, a big body Kyrie. But
Mm-hmm.
he hit a three. And then the 7 steals, that was unheard of almost, because people going into this draft, people were fading Dylan Harper because of his defense, because he was lackluster as a defender on Rutgers. But at the same time, he's a 6'5", 6'6" guard who has tools and knows how to play passing lanes, like we saw last night. I thought his defense was incredible last night, and it's something I look forward to for many years to come, because a lot of those turnovers we saw was people driving at the rim, seeing Wimby being like, "Hell no," that's what we call it. It's a hell no, and them kicking and Dylan Harper reading them like a book and diving corner, diving wing, getting the steal. There was a couple times I remember at least once he pickpocketed Jared McCain. He pickpocketed Shea once. It was just incredible from Dylan Harper. Like I run out of words to describe how impressive he is as a rookie. And I think last night showed that he needs to be starting sooner rather than later. Now, I do want to get into it. I've been very critical of De'Aaron Fox. I've been probably one of the bigger critics of De'Aaron Fox, but last night was a game where the Spurs really could have used De'Aaron Fox. And I know that's hard to say because they won. It's a bit weird to say because they won, but the turnovers were the biggest issue because you look across the four factors. The Spurs shot better than OKC, maybe not from three, but the Spurs overall were more efficient than the Thunder. The Spurs dominated the boards. They got to the line better than the Thunder. It was just turnovers that was an Achilles heel last night. It was awful. And a lot of that falls on Stephon Castle, who had 11 turnovers, which he's had issues with his handle all year, his whole career, but he's taken leaps in every other aspect of his game. So I expect that to improve. But at this point in his career, Stephon Castle needs somebody who has the experience, who can handle the ball in pressure situations, who can suppress turnovers, which that's De'Aaron Fox. And the fact of the matter is, Stephon Castle doesn't have 11 turnovers if De'Aaron Fox plays, just point blank. And outside of just that, De'Aaron Fox opens up the floor so much for the Spurs because regardless of if he's having an awful shooting night or a great shooting night, he demands attention. He is an all-star. He is a two-time all-star. He's been to the playoffs before. De'Aaron Fox demands respect from a defense, and that could open up the floor so much more in game two if he plays. I mean, I heard rumors that he's probable game two. I've honestly kind of thought about it, and I want to ask you the question: if it were up to you, would you play De'Aaron Fox in game two, or would you save him for the homestand now that the Spurs have taken game one?
I think I'd still play him. I think a big thing for me, um, going back to like when we're talking about the preview of whether I would bring Jade up off the bench in game one to get legs underneath him. I think it'd be the same thing. It's not a game two is not a must win at all. There's no real like
It's a luxury.
yeah, there's no extra scheming you need to do or anything like that. Obviously, you would love to win, and De'Aaron Fox gives you a better chance to win, but you don't need to win. So I think I'd probably play him, but if I was Mitch Johnson, I'd take him off the bench. You saw what worked last
Mm.
night. Harper obviously cast out the 11 turnovers and all that kind of stuff, but you don't want to just yeah you're going back home, but you don't want to give Fox just 2 days off or 2 games off in the Western Conference Finals and then come back game three. Even though he's not needed for game two, I just say I would bring him off the bench just to get legs underneath him. I'm a big believer in that kind of thing. And then we kind of saw with Jalen Williams too. He had 26, but the start of the game was kind of sluggish for him. Obviously, he hasn't played at all in these playoffs. And it was kind of sluggish, but he kind of picked it up over the course of the game. Given that helps when you're playing a double overtime game, you kind of get your
Or when
you kind of get
when
warm.
Luke Cornett gets subbed in.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's really when he started getting his stuff off.
Yeah, so you saw how cold he was at the start of that. You can't bring Fox in for the first time after missing 2 games. You can't bring him in a I'd say must win game three in a sense. Because if you're tied 1-1 even, um,
You got to win at home. You got to
yeah,
protect home
yeah,
court.
you got to protect home court now. You have it's your advantage now. So you have the luxury of both ways, I guess. You have the luxury to lose game two, but you also have the luxury to get Fox some running while also, even having a potential chance to win game two. So do I think they're gonna win game two? Probably not. That's just kind of how it goes. This is what Wemby's like career high in minutes,
Yeah, 49
49.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know he's not gonna be tired. The whole team's gonna be tired. What I was saying to my homies yesterday is like the Thunder don't have to go sleep in a hotel room after a double overtime game. They get to go home. The Spurs had to go to a hotel room, which yes, it's a nice hotel room probably, but it's not the same. So that's
That's
other
a good
factors in
point.
that. Like the Spurs are on the road, only one day off. A lot of teams after winning a gritty game one on the road go into game two and lose a lot of the time. That's what happened with the Wolves in the last series. Um, happens a lot. So I think you have the luxury to experiment next game. I think the
Yeah.
biggest thing to this game was for game one was the defense you played on Shea. Um, like that's you had so much time to scheme against that. Game two, you can roll out the same game plan, but also implement new things with Fox coming back in. What would you do? Like, I'm curious to know what you would do if you're Mitch
Personally,
Johnson.
I would like Fox to play. Like I understand resting him, but it's better to shake off the rust now in a game where there's a bit less pressure because we already have home court. And bringing Fox back, he's going to be the only one on the court with fresh legs. Everybody
Yeah,
else, OKC, San Antonio, played high 40s minutes. So Fox, even though he may be hurt, he will be one of the only people on the court with fresh legs. And I think that's important. And that can't be overlooked. Now, I don't think the Spurs will win game two. I think, like you were saying, we were talking about Minnesota last series. When the higher seed loses game one, game two is usually a blowout, a get right game. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. But on the off chance that the Spurs can win game two, I mean, you just have to imagine that's demoralizing for OKC. That's
yeah,
they might have to have some players only meetings at that point. Like I would not be shocked if that's where they're at because we saw how you know Caruso. I feel like Caruso kind of lost his composure there at the end of OT when he just shoved the camera. Uh, that obviously having a great game, but it's all smiles and rainbows whenever OKC wins. But they seem to get pretty frustrated whenever they lose. They
yeah.
don't really keep a level head. So I would not be shocked if game
I
two
think
is either a Thunder blowout or if the Spurs win, it might be detrimental to OKC.
yeah, I think you talking about losing their cool. I think that can go. That's a two-way street. I think obviously you can look at it and be like, yeah, when they're all winning, it's all sunshine and rainbows, and we're losing, it's frustration, all that kind of stuff. But I think that goes to just know like the Thunder know how good of a team they are. They are a
Yeah,
historically good team, so they know how good they are. I don't think they're gonna let something like this be detrimental to them. I think the players only meeting would be a more of like a people would look at it as like a bad thing, like oh the Thunder are falling apart. Like no, they're not falling apart. They're probably the most collective groups outside the Spurs. Like those two teams are probably the most like together groups in the league. So I don't think it's gonna be a bad thing. But like talking about the Thunder just in game one, the Spurs game plan was sell out on Shea, and that worked. 7 of 23 on field goal. We talked about Carter Bryant's defense on Shea all night. We talked about Stephon Castle's defense on Shea. He's been great on him defensively throughout the regular season as well. But let's talk about probably the worst part of this game. I talked him up yesterday in the conference preview. I said Chet Holmgren has been the Thunder's best player this playoffs, and he did not live up to that expectation last night. He took 7 field goals in 41 minutes of playing time in a double overtime game. Um, that's just not acceptable for Chet. Like you need to be better if you're that kind of player. Even if you're going against Wemby, like that's just how it has to be. Wemby wasn't even guarding you full time, then you still only put up 7 shots. Like that's just unacceptable. 8 points. I don't care
Devin
what you do.
Vassell was his most popular matchup
Yeah, I
throughout the
don't care
game, I
what you do
believe.
defensively. You need to shoot more for the money they're paying you, and just the stature of player you are, the caliber of player you are. You cannot be taking only 7 shots and scoring 8 points. Like that's just unacceptable.
Yeah,
Um,
Devin Vassell, small Devin Vassell, played 24 possessions against Chet, and Chet only scored 3 points in that time frame on 50 EFG, which that's unacceptable. Like I understand Chet is a lighter big, Wimby is a lighter big. Chet has to punish him at some point. Like we saw Wimby doing. We saw Wimby doing that whenever Caruso was matched up against him. We saw Wimby doing that when uh, Queso was matched up against him. When J Dub was matched up against him. I think Chet has to at some point take this personally because we see that Wimby is. You have to match the intensity at some point.
yeah. Um, let's talk about the other side of that big matchup we talked about yesterday. Victor Wembanyama. I mean, how many more good things can you say about him? 41 points, 24 boards, 9 of them offensive, 3 blocks, only 3 turnovers, 25 shots, made 14 of them, 49 minutes, highest ever. I like genuinely. The more I just watch this guy, the more I just think he's on GOAT trajectory. If he wasn't already, it. I don't even know what to say, dude. It genuinely, it's insane. And we talked about the shot that he made at the end of overtime too, where that's Curry land in OKC right now. That's the kind of player we're watching. Like he laced it from dead ass to logo, and you thought he was gonna airball it.
Yeah, the only thing I can say about Wimby is we are all witness. Just wow, what a performance! Like you were saying on that three, I think that's one of the greatest shots I've ever seen in a basketball game. Period. Like this is overtime, down three. 30 seconds left, full shot clock, game one of the Western Conference Finals, Wemby's first ever Western Conference Finals game, and that's the shot he takes. That like I want people to understand how much guts go into that shot because what I
Mm-hmm.
thought whenever I first saw him pulling up, I was like, oh my god, what is he doing? I thought I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was going to be an air ball, and that was going to be a clip I was going to have to deal with all over Twitter last night. I was going to have to see like, oh my goodness, Valentine, like why would Wimby take this shot? There was a full shot clock, 30 seconds. They were down three. He just airballed and gave possession back to OKC, but somehow, some way, the 7'5" man on the court drilled a logo three, down three in overtime, and I have no words. I was at a loss for words there. Like my jaw hit the floor.
Yeah.
My little brother was going crazy. Like I cannot speak enough to how insane that shot was. I can't speak enough to how insane Wimby was down the stretch. I felt like he was really clutch. Like obviously Chet got that help side block on to end regulation, but I feel like Wimby dominated the clutch. He dominated everybody in the clutch.
Mm-hmm.
In double overtime, he looked like the only one who had legs out there. Like people were questioning his endurance and could he play these high minutes of games? And he looked like the only one with legs out there. Everybody else on the court, Thunder, Spurs, everybody looked gassed. And yet Wemby was just running coast to coast, getting post ups, just everything. He put Chet on a poster, an one poster in OT. Like it, it really the game looked too easy for him last night. And I think Chet has to rise to the occasion. Uh, Obviously, Mark Daigneault is an amazing coach, but I'm intrigued to see if he matches Chet up with Wemby. If he says enough is enough, Chet, you might get cooked, but everybody else is even worse against Wemby. So I'm really intrigued to see what game two brings.
Yeah, I also think going back to the Fox point of him potentially returning for game two, if Fox on the court, the offense flows a lot better. The spacing is a lot better, and then Wemby can also be a lot better of a pick and roll, you know, roller. When he was trying to run the PNR with Castle or Harper as a ball handler, it felt like every time they'd hit a screen, they'd have to reverse it and flip it back to the other side. It just felt like it never had flow whenever they tried to do that. But with Fox on it, the quickness of Fox, the IQ of Fox works really well with Wemby. And we talked about it. The Thunder can't really play a double big lineup with that lineup on the court because Hartenstein's not going to be able to trail out to the three to guard Champagne or anybody on the three. And then that leaves Chet on a one-on-one against the fastest player in the league in Darren Fox and Victor Wembanyama, who's like the tallest, best player in the world. So that's difficult for the Thunder, but I have full trust in Mark Daigneault, as you said. He's one of the best coaches in the league. He's probably the best coach in the league for a reason. Um, I have trust in him to make it right and figure out ways to limit this kind of performance by Wemby, but then also throughout the rest of the series, you know, scheme to get them back in it. Because being down 1-0 as a higher seed is no joke. You have to win game two, and you have to win one on the road again in games 3 or 4. That's no doubt about it. But I have full faith in Mark to do that, as a lot of people probably do.
Yeah, and like you said about Hartenstein, I would not be shocked in the slightest if the Thunder completely abandoned the double big lineup starting going into the next game. I was actually shocked that they brought it out to begin with. Like we talked about in our preview, that it had been a rarity to see the double big lineup on the court at the same time as Wimby when they matched up in the regular season. So to start game one of the Western Conference Finals with the double big lineup, I was a bit shocked personally, and it clearly didn't work because Isaiah Hartenstein only played 12 minutes in the game. He clearly was ineffective against this team. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'll see double big to start next game. If we do, we might have to start questioning some things. But yeah, that's. I think Mark Daigneault is going to learn from this. I think he's going to adjust. This is like every playoff series. This is a chess match, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes as well. Any last thoughts heading to game two after game one? Anything like that?
Not necessarily. My series predictions. I'm still kind of rocking with Thunder and six. I'm still like I don't want to overreact to last night. It was obviously a huge win. Uh, it felt like everything that could have went wrong for the Spurs went wrong, and they still one because of Wimby's greatness, but I still want to stick behind like my pick. And I think game two, the Thunder probably win by quite a margin. I think that's just something you see from these higher seeds when they go down 1-0 at home.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think my last takeaway is just the Spurs scheme against the Thunder was anybody but Shea, and for the most part it worked. But guys like Chet Holmgren, guys like AJ Mitchell, who I talked to Storm up yesterday, guys like Cason Wallace and Jared McCain have to step up if the Thunder have any shot at sniffing a comeback in this series, especially in game two, which is going to be all important in telling the series. But we'll be back here on Thursday to talk about game two, however that goes. Game one is tonight of the Knicks and Cavaliers. We'll be back tomorrow talking about that game as well. I'm excited, dude. If the playoffs for the rest of the way, if the conference finals are going to be anything like this game, um, you got to tune in if you're not already. But for now, I'm Cole Frere. That's Zach DeRossi. Working on those weeks. Game one was a doozy. Peace out.